Hello everyone, Derek's Damn Toys, and we are back with another action figure review. Today we've got the Unmatched Series 9, Claudio Castagnoli, rare 1 of 3,000. So, I'm pretty excited to get into this, not just because it's got that nice pretty sticker right there, but because, well, this is the one and only time Claudio's been released in this, in either one of the series so far. And they made him the one out of the, two chases. I think the Moxley might have been the other chase, though I'm not too sure. It probably was Jamie Hayter. I really don't recall. But really nice figures in that wave. This is actually my first figure out of this wave, if I recall correctly, too, because I don't know if I have the Alex Reynolds. No, I do not have the Alex Reynolds. I don't have the Whaler. I don't have anyone from this wave. So it'll nice to have someone not just from this wave, but having one of the chases of the wave. Pretty damn cool in my opinion, but enough talk. We're not keeping him in the plastic prison. We're actually reviewing this guy today, of course. Well, I mean, why else would we be here? So, enough talk. Why don't we get into this action figure review and get Claudio out of his Swiss prison? Alrighty, you guys. Now that we've got Claudio Castagnoli all out of his plastic prison, we can go over the figure, but most importantly, first and foremost, we can get into his action figure accessories. But before we do that, you see this mess in the ring. I hope it didn't deter you to click away, I guess, but I'm in the middle of currently filming a match. I'm sure you guys can see the two opponents over there in the corner, but I'm in the middle of filming for my show with Grand State Wrestling. Well, it's his show, but we're collaborating on it, so it's our show, but our show that will hopefully be getting released soon. It's mainly just up on my end. It took me a little bit to film some of my other stuff that I was working on, and realistically, if I didn't agree to so many joint shows, I would have had them done sooner. But that's on my own end. Either way, I'm still fulfilling my promise and getting some bangers out for this joint show, and then on top of that, I can start working on my weekly stuff. I can get back into the fix of filming Chaos Theory, aka I only have one more episode until Armageddon, so we might as well, get this show out of the way, get that show on the road. Might take my time filming that one because I've been on my grind recently with a lot of these joint shows. Not saying I'm burnt out, but man, either way, we're not here for all that. We're here for this Claudio Castagnoli action figure review. And of course, first things first, we've got two different sets of interchangeable hands. We've got the set of not necessarily mic or weapon holding hands, as these ones kind of remind me more of like the Brian Cage hands, where they're a little open, but they're not like fully open. I feel like I could still fit a microphone in there. He can still cut a promo if need be. I could slide like one of those chairs back there. I could slide that in his hands, no problem, and I could probably make that work. I do also love the nice little ring of wrist tape there on both hands. That's a pretty neat detail, and he does have that on both sets of the fisted hands. I'm sure you'll see that if you keep an eye out for it, but if you guys don't, I guess I might as well show that off real quick. As you can see right there, he has that on both sets of his fist hands too, so nice detailing from Jazzwares there. And speaking of nice detailing, what a beautiful jacket this is. I love the material of it. I love the designing of it. I can't lie, I'm a sucker for red and blue camo. This shit just looks nice to me, I can't lie. But it's got a really nice material to it. The camo pattern looks really nice, and from what I've noticed so far, it has not stained the Claudio Castagnoli figure, which I want to say was an issue with the mainline release where he had the black jacket. So I guess if you guys are always looking out to try to grab one of these two Claudio figures, this one might be your way to go if you're gonna open them up and play around with them, because not just is this jacket nice, not just does it not stain, but getting into the actual review itself, this Claudio actually poses quite well in my opinion. From the head scan, looking really nice as well. I honestly, it kind of looks like one of his older Mattel head scans, just kind of redone in Jazzwares form. And I can't complain about that at all. The balding look into the beard looks really good. Of course, that's fairly accurate. His head can look down quite well. I'm trying to get it to pose for the upward look. You got that going right there, so of course that's pretty nice and dandy. The shoulder articulation a little stiff, but it's not too terrible. As you can see, like it's posable with one hand. The double jointed arms are nice. They're not too loose. They don't feel like I'm gonna like break them off trying to pose them up, you know. Like, look at that. I'm not putting like any pressure on it at all, and it's not budging either. That's what you want to see with your AEW figures, let alone your Mattel figures. But what do I know? Of course, the ab crunch looking a little beautiful here. Speaking of the ab crunch and stuff like that, all the chest hair decal, that's looking nice and accurate there as far as that goes, as even this decal would have been present on some of his elites back in the day. I want to say all of his elites had it, but I'm not too sure there. Don't quote me. And then the gear itself, really nice gear. I loved when he wore this. I wish on mine personally it was a little bit better, because like the alignment here is a little off when it comes to the trunks to the top ratio. Is bending his legs in like that to kind of match him up. He's like bow-legged, so that's a little weird. Maybe it's not meant for like straight like line-to-line accuracy, but it should be. I feel like that's how it was, but it's a little bit of awkwardness there, I guess, as far as the decaling goes, but it's still a really nice gear nonetheless. I love the like grayish brown tights, because they do kind of look brown to me, even though I know they're gray. And I only know they're gray because they look more gray in person, but on the camera they kind of do look brown. I don't know why, but like I cast a little shadow over them and they're like a dark gray color. Either way, feel free to maybe like tell me the exact color here, because I don't know exactly every color. But you've got the red camo going up in here with the stripe pattern. No design on this leg, so it just only has the Claudio Castagnoli logo here on the one side. The articulation is pretty well in the upper leg movement and stuff of that nature. He can kick forward quite well, I'd say. Like, look at that. That's a pretty nice kick forward there. At least if I say so myself, that's a really nice kick forward. The upper thigh cut is not rotating for me, and I'm kind of scared to rotate that on camera, though it does work on the other leg, so you can see that there. But yeah, I don't know, that other side, you know, it's not rotating, so I'll have to look into that here in a second when we get into the final pose. But the double jointed knee, always lovely to see, and it's bending quite lovely as well. Though I guess if that's supposed to like replicate a knee pad, that's a little awkward that they sculpted it. But either way, I love the white boots. The white boots with the gold trim here. Not really even matching up with the attire like that, but honestly, I rock with the fit. It looks nice. It looks clean. I can't complain, let alone the fact that this man is articulating like a beast right now. Kind of reminded me of some of his earlier releases from Mattel, honestly, with how good this figure is posing. But I guess speaking of that, why don't we get into some action figure comparisons, and well, we can look at maybe his, yeah, it was his last release, because I sadly don't have the other figure I used to have as Cesaro, because I can't lie, I tried to turn that one into a custom when I was younger and failed miserably. But I digress. Let's get into that action figure comparison now. Alrighty, you guys, here's a little bit of action figure comparisons, along with some height comparisons. As you can see, we've got the last Cesaro figure that ever released by Mattel, up side by side with this Claudio Castagnoli. Of course, they're the same guy if you didn't know. But what makes this a little bit more fun and intriguing to think about is how the Claudio, I can't say he like super towers over the Cesaro figure, but he's definitely got some height on this Cesaro. If I don't think so, I don't know. I really can't tell. Like, his head is meeting up with the like AEW's cheek. Like, the top of his head is meeting up with the other one's cheek, so there's at least a little bit of a tall difference there. But it's not like super major. I don't know which one's more accurate. Is the AEW one more accurate, or is the Cesaro more accurate? I don't know, but up side by side with the Tyson Kidd Elite from what, like Series 46, I think? I'm not exactly too sure. He does look really good up next to that Tyson Kidd Elite. And then you can kind of see the height comparison with one of my most recent pickups from the AEW figure waves. We've got him up next to Killswitch, and he's just about as tall, if not just as tall as Killswitch, which is like kind of crazy to think. I don't know, that's kind of nuts to think about. I don't know which one is a little bit more accurate, you would say. Maybe let me know down in the comment section below. But why don't we get into the final pose of this Claudio, and we can get into our ranking and all that good jazz. Alrighty, you guys. Now that we've got Claudio in his final pose, he's delivering a nice European uppercut to Darby Allin. I can't exactly remember which one that is. I think that might be the ringside exclusive Darby from a while back, but either way, I digress. This Cesaro is posing really clean. He looks super clean. Honestly, I'm gonna have to give this man a high ranking, but when it comes down to it at the end of the day, I will say first, I kind of hit my camera, so sorry there, but first and foremost, that upper leg thing that I was just kind of mentioning a little bit ago, that upper thigh does move. It's just actually a little stiff, which, I mean, I guess I'd rather deal with that than deal with the Claudio not being able to pose in that area. So you win some and you lose some, I guess. But at the end of the day, this Claudio is actually really damn fire. I'm not gonna lie. This might be the Claudio I end up using in the Fed, because I don't know, I was thinking about using his last Elite, but this is posing quite well. And they're actually holding this pose, unlike Luchasaurus, where him and Christian couldn't hold a super kick pose to save my life. But the Cesaro, posing clean. Of course, Darby, we all know his figure's posing clean. Kind of why I chose him for this, but either way, when it comes down to that scale ranking of 1 to 10, what would I put this Cesaro chase at? Well, I mean, of course, this one probably being the more sought after one, I'd say, because let's be honest, it's got the better gear out of the two, at least in my opinion. If you look at some render shots of the original AEW Claudio, I'm sure you'll understand, though nice black gear never hurts nobody. This Cesaro, it's hurting someone's well-being by how clean this attire is. Just all nice with the red camo, the grayish looking pants, the white boots. I knew this had to get released in figure form one way or another, and I'm so happy it ended up getting released in figure form, let alone it being technically one out of the first 2 releases he actually had in figure form. Of course, a part of the same wave, but I think we all get the point. I think I'm going to give him a good solid 8.5 out of 10. I'd say a little bit higher than that, but to be honest, the decals on the legs not really matching up with the crotch piece is a little odd. But That's really my only gripe with it. So at the end of the day, the Cesaro is almost pretty damn near perfect. Of course, a lot of the figures I buy are pretty damn near perfect, though I don't try to give a figure a shitty rating unless the figure's posability is just ass. And when it comes down to Mattel, their posability is never really ass, though sometimes they do have aspects that are ass, especially as of late with like leg movement and stuff of that nature. But enough said, we gotta get into that good old Dave Meltzer star scale, the star rankings. We gave him a good solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it only serves right to give him a good solid 4 out of 5 stars for the good old 1 to Young Buck match. But with that being said, I don't really have anything else to say, so if you guys would like to, feel free to like the video if you guys did like the video. If you guys did not, well, womp womp, I guess. But if you guys did like the video, feel free to go check out some of my other action figure reviews and stuff of that nature, of course. And I say it like that because I do have quite a bit. Of course, we just reviewed that Kill Switch as mentioned earlier. His review just got posted as of recording. We've got the Series 120 Joe Gacy Elite. Sorry, I kind of tend to fuck up my outro a lot, I guess you could say. But we've got a lot of shit here, from reviews to pick-fed content to unboxings and stuff of that nature. If you search long enough, you'll find something I'm sure you like, whether it's the reviews and stuff of that nature. If not, well, that's whatever. But if you guys did like any of the content that you've seen on my channel, let alone if you're new and you did like this review, maybe feel free to subscribe. After all, it is free to subscribe. And we are currently on the road to 500 subs. That's the next goal. Instead of hitting at 450, our next big goal is 500, just shooting straight for the 500,000. We're already almost halfway there, no pun intended, I guess you could say, but we're currently at 442 subs. So if you guys could, feel free to subscribe and help us get to 500. If anything, it's not like I'm playing in the arms of the angels and begging you guys for donations or something of that nature. Just a simple sub helps us go a long way, especially if we ever want to get monetized one day or something of that nature. After all, I just do this all for the fun of the game, really. So getting up to the point where I potentially can get monetized is of course going to be a fun goal to achieve. But nonetheless, just having the subscribers alone is the main goal here. Of course, if this was back in the day when I was watching YouTube and stuff like that, we didn't have monetization when I was growing up, so you weren't getting paid to potentially sit here and pose figures and do action figure reviews and shit like that. Either way, womp womp. I'm getting a little tired, so sorry for the yawn. That's pretty much it. If anything, have a good rest of your day, night, evening. I don't know if I'm going to. After all, it's 11:37. I still have yet to watch Dynamite, and well, here I am trying to do an outro, yawning my brains out because I've been up since like 8 o'clock this morning. Either way, have a good rest of your day, night, evening, all that stuff. Deuces, ooses, yeet. Really sorry for the shitty outro, let's be honest. That was fucking ass.